Alright. I don't know why I'm recording so late at night, as usual, but I have two suggestions, a long and a short video by Nifty Little Name. Well, that's the person who suggested it, and yes, that is indeed a nifty little name. So, the first one is the Spamton's Insanity Explained, Deltarune Chapter 2 theory. Well, before this, here is one of my own theories that Toriel will be a main character in Chapter 3, and also a follow up on that. Flesh said that if that was the case, you could possibly manipulate Toriel into doing genocide, and that if Undyne entered the Dark World too, you could also manipulate her into killing Undyne to quote unquote protect Chris. That would be pretty interesting, I have to say. Just a theory, but not gonna back it up.
6 years ago, one of the most bizarre, heartwarming, and thought-provoking games hit the web. But it wasn't just the experience that hooked us. It was what wasn't told that equally enchanted us. The mystery
True.
behind Undertale and
I literally just finished playing that a few hours ago. Like, I just finished my revisits. I cried a total of 7 times.
the follow-up installment Deltarune still has us hooked to this day. And with Chapter 2 now released, we have more pieces to the puzzle. Chapter 2 introduced a ton of new characters who all have their own quirks, but there's one character that feels like an outlier compared to everyone else. Someone who could definitely relate to Jevel on a deep level, and that is Spamton, the questionable marketing extraordinaire.
Yeah, I
This is the
still
story of
don't
Spamton,
understand him.
someone so desperate that when given the chance for greatness, they took it, despite the brutal consequences it entailed. I hope you enjoy.
Yeah, I remember hearing the lore that was implied during the Secrets video reaction, so I'm definitely going to keep that in mind throughout this, especially if it's mentioned. Also, one sec.
2015 was the year Undertale dropped, and it
Don't
was
you,
also the year my YouTube channel
don't
started
make me
growing.
cry
Now, if
again.
any of you watching are thinking about editing your own videos, today's sponsor, Wondershare Filmora, can help you do just that. Wondershare Filmora is
Joke's on
great
you, I'm a
because it is the
mobile
perfect tool
video
for both
maker,
beginners and experienced
so
editors. Its drag and drop library has tons of cool filters, transitions, and other effects to make your videos pop. Filmora just released the newest version too, which is 10.5. Within is lots of new features like new audio effects, AR stickers that respond to the motion of your face, a stock library full of 20,000 different effects, their AR portrait add-on, which can automatically remove backgrounds, and auto reframe. Auto reframe is super handy because it allows you to quickly
I just
recreate the
love
same
how I'm
video in different
allowing the
aspect ratios.
advertisement within the
So if you want
video.
the same clip for TikTok, Instagram, or a YouTube short, just import your clip, right click and select auto reframe, choose your aspect ratio, decide if you want the clip slowed down or sped up, and then hit analysis and let Filmora do the work. From there, you just export the video and you're done. So if you want to get into content creation, I recommend downloading
just
Wondershare
casually
Filmora
keeping
in the
this in
description
the video.
below, and
Oh,
give it
you
a
have
try
a
for free.
pumpkin
And a
plushie.
huge thanks to
Right.
Wondershare for
And I have
sponsoring
my
this video
Kara
and
plushie
supporting
with
my
me.
channel.
I have my Kara plushie right
So it's
on my
been a while since
shoulder.
I talked about Undertale and Deltarune lore. I've mostly been diving into the world of Nintendo recently and creating my own slew of mysteries within the world of Zardy's Maze. But while I love creating stories and mysteries, I also enjoy trying to figure out the mysteries from the games that I love. So when I
Scary
found myself
pumpkin
wandering through
man.
Cyber City and a certain spammy fellow popped out, I wasn't sure how deep the rabbit hole was going to go. Spamton, as his name implies, is a ton of spam. He's everything most of us hate about misleading, flashy, and potentially dangerous attempts to get us to buy something or click something online. And he immediately starts pressuring our character further the more we talk to him. But the thing is, Spamton doesn't kid around, and he knows that Chris has something unique about them. He asks us to see our heart-shaped object immediately, before bringing us into battle. Once we begin fighting, Spamton doubles down by saying, quote, "I've never seen a heart-shaped object like that before." Spamton says he used to
Yeah,
be a
and
big
he
shot,
also
and now he needs
has
generosity because he's at
brackets
rock bottom
between some
essentially.
bits of
But his
dialogue
dialogue
that are
only spirals
lowercase
further from there. As he
and
claims,
possibly
he was only ever in it
redacted
for the freedom,
or
to make your own
censored.
deals and to call your own shots. And this dialogue can be taken two different ways. One, in a literal career sense of prosperity and being your own boss, but two, also in true freedom. And that's where things start to get dark with this particular character, and where things start to feel a bit familiar. This feeling only grows stronger once we meet Spamton in his shop in the trash area. Upon talking to him, we are presented with a deal. Deep
Derpy
beneath the Queen's
man
mansion
with
is a
glitchy
one-way ticket to
wall.
being a big shot. Something powerful is down there, but Spamton cannot
Oh,
get it
poor
without your
Noelle,
help,
she could
at
be
least at
clipping
this
into a
point.
wall
He wants you to
somewhere.
buy his keygen, unlock the basement, and then grab an item called Empty Disk. How he knows this particular disk exists is unknown, but we'll talk about that a bit later.
But he used
Pressing
to
Spamton for more
live
knowledge
in
lets us know
Queensmere,
that he used to be
okay.
the email guy. But with with his new transformation, he hopes to, quote, pass that damn clown around town. But unlike the clown, Spamton is going to shoot for the sky and get on the path to the big one. And this remark is really interesting because it's definitely a call out to Jevil. Two people who both lost their minds. But unlike Jevil, who was content within their cell despite us wanting to free them, Spamton has their sights on something bigger, much bigger. Upon digging deeper, something very strange happens to Spamton. In two instances, he breaks character as his eyes turn to static and his shouting subsides. He calls someone by name. But who is Mike? Spamton calls him a criminal, but this encounter is only the first.
Well, is that going to
because when
be like the
confronted about
secret boss
fear,
of the third
Spamton
game?
breaks insanity for a moment to ask
So
for help
we've had
and to see if
Jevil,
anyone
we've
can
had
hear him. He then
Spamton,
reclaims
next
his
is
chaotic
Mike.
composure
I'm
and
keeping that
mentions
in
that
mind.
whoever just talked sounded
Not
like
really.
they were talking to you, and the mystery grows deeper. Now, before I start connecting all the dots between this, it's really important that we talk about everything related to Spamton, because our journey with this mad lad is really only just beginning. Hi!
God fucking damn it. Okay, look at the bar. Look at the YouTube bar. It doesn't have the yellow lines. It doesn't say, "Oh hey, there's an ad here." That's a problem. God. Ugh, man.
So we buy the key gen from Spamton and make our way into the secret basement of the mansion. Once we are within, we head all the way back to the deepest section to hit a switch to allow us to proceed to where the empty disc is. We pull out an old machine and take it back to Spamton.
Whatever
we then
that
put him
is.
on the disc, which closes down his shop, and then we must reinsert that disc back into this machine. But once we do, Spamton NEO is born. And this is really, really interesting. This fight isn't a joke, and he's quite a difficult foe, as a player must both dodge and shoot during the enemy attack phases.
And
Undertale
actually
fans
use
will
a yellow
recognize that
soul
the
for
name
once
Neo
in
and the look of
Deltarune.
Spamton at this point is very similar to Mettaton Neo, wings and all. And
Yeah.
then we do our best to pluck Spamton, string by string, from his puppet torso. But this is only one of the two times that a Neo fight can take place, because if you do lots of questionably bad things against the populace of Cyber City with Noel, well, things change. The city becomes deserted, people fear for their lives, and Spamton seizes the opportunity to take over the Queen's mansion.
Yeah.
And then right before you seal the Dark Fountain, you must take out Spamton NEO by yourself. In both of these fights, we learn a lot about Spamton. This guy can't stop
We
talking
do.
and is quite literally a mystery lore fountain. These lines in particular stick out a ton. Quote, I won't have to be just a puppet anymore, or so I thought. What are these strings? Why am I not big enough? It's still dark, so dark. All you gotta do is big, then we'll be the ones making the calls, Chris. Chris, take the deal. Take it. Do you want to be a heart on a chain your whole life? End quote. As if the hints up until
What?
this point weren't clear enough,
Oh.
Spamton is pretty straight to the point.
He
And we
knows.
see that cursed darkness phrase again. It's still dark. So dark. Which is very close to darker yet darker. Sham mentions this in regards to his worldview when discussing the fate of Jevil. And of course, we all know by this point that this phrase has haunted us since the hidden 17th lab entry in Undertale.
Yep.
It's become a recurring theme alongside the idea that our choices don't matter. Spamton is clear about his desire to make his own choices and not feel like a puppet, but he also recognizes that Chris is in the same boat, a heart on a chain, so to speak. There are very few times we don't actually control Chris, and they usually happen in extension to Chris ripping out their heart, their soul. After the fight with Spamton in the normal run, he realizes that he was nothing more than a puppet after all, regardless of his efforts. He then fades away and
Still
becomes
isn't
an
warning
idol.
me.
But this isn't the end of our Spamton lore dive, because it goes even deeper. There are multiple follow-up conversations we can have with people about the Spamton NEO fight. Heading back to Swatch, he tells us the robot in the basement was a Lightner's dream. And, if we remember from Undertale, Hapstablook, the assumed ghost monster cousin of Napstablook, became Mettaton, with Mettaton NEO being the supposed ultimate form of the robotic body. Swatch goes on to say that a Lightner began creating this robot in the basement with a Keller splash from their hand, and that Swatch helped them. But ultimately, it was scrapped and left in the basement alongside the other corrupted data. Spamton somehow learned of this robot and thought about harvesting the Lightner's creation to give himself power. So Spamton leveraged a Lightner's dream, and securing it did give him vast strength, but it wasn't as powerful as a soul. Now, before we jump into Fairyland, if we head back to the trash zone, we finally get some answers from Spamton's peers. Spamton was largely unsuccessful according to his peers, and it's sad, because Spamton's dream was to make it big. But it seems that he finally connected with the right person on the phone, or maybe someone found him. He was now glued to his phone, and whoever was on the other line was helping him. Spamton became very prosperous after this, and his peers became jealous.
Glitchy, scary eyes, boo, have nightmares.
It states that whoever was helping him disappeared. But it's the last person in this line of people that really gives us a clue we need. When Spamton was getting evicted from the Queen's mansion, this person went to check on him. Quote, I went to his room to check on him, but he wasn't there. There was only a phone hanging off the handle. He must have left in the middle of a conversation because I could still hear someone on the other end. But when I put the receiver to my ear, there was nothing
All
but
I heard
garbage
was
noise.
garbage
End
noise,
quote.
and
Remember,
when you
the
pull up
same
your
thing happened
phone,
to
you hear
Jevil.
garbage
He met
noise, and
someone
that's the
strange
Gaster
and things
thing.
began to change. And that garbage noise on the phone is a ticket we needed. I know you're all thinking it. I'm thinking it too. It's just like Jevil and it reeks of Gaster. And to further solidify this connection with a mysterious scientist, we need to stumble upon a room that doesn't exist. Heading back to Cyber City,
Yeah, you
it's
can
possible to
go
find a room
back to the
between rooms.
tree,
This is something we're
and if
familiar
you
with from
think
Chapter 1. And in this room, we get murdered by the annoying dog.
for
Honestly, this
whatever
caught me off
reason,
guard
like
so
that
hard I
is,
couldn't stop laughing
other
because I used
than
to own one
for
of
the
those silly cars
jokes
as a
and
kid.
for the
This
dog to be
spins us into
annoying,
a
I
similar game
don't see
over
the point
screen
of
for
that.
Undertale, surprisingly. But upon re-entering this area, the room is flipped, and we find our mysterious man behind the tree again. Just like in Chapter 1,
Yeah,
this mysterious figure gives us an egg, and then we are reminded that they were never
unless you
there.
think
But if
he's
we
not
pull out our
happy
phone
to
and make a
see you.
call, well, we are left with garbage noise on the other end. A sound we are so familiar with hearing since it persists all over the dark world through our phone. A sound from the 17th hidden entry, but a sound that haunted Spamton as well.
Boo,
Gaster, or the mysterious interferer, snapped
boo.
the mind of Spamton just like he did Jevil, and the connections are a lot more
Scary,
clear than they
man.
were before. It's almost like these two individuals made a deal with the devil. I'm not saying I understand Gaster's stance on anything, since we know so little about him, but each person he's
True.
interacted with has gained remarkable abilities and knowledge at the cost of everything. Once these individuals
Exactly.
realized the truth about their game world, each one broke in a different way. Jevil knows about stats and can spawn that creepy True Lab Everyman during his fights as from
Oh,
Undertale.
wait, that's
Something
what that
only the
was.
royal scientists.
I didn't even realize that's what Jevil was spawning during his carousel thing. That, wow. It all ties together now. Spamton doesn't like Jevil. They both know Gaster. Gaster has both aided them in some way.
Are normally familiar with.
Wow.
And Spamton, he's trying to outrun the darkness, to break out of it and escape his predetermined place in the world. That wasn't even on his radar before his mysterious encounter. Being a big shot meant something entirely different back then. Back in
Still
1997.
isn't warning me. Watch an ad ambush me. I do not vape, you little piece of. I respect the person needs to get paid, but come on, YouTube. Literally, the fact that I can't see the ads on the bar means I can't skip through them before recording the video. Means I have to either cut it out or accept it in the video. Because I'm lazy, I'm going to accept it, but I literally called it out and then it happened. I really hate ads.
I find this year really interesting because it comes up several times with Spamton. At this time, the internet was really starting to take off in terms of public use. For a person who lived a life mostly of failures, I really can only think of one reason the year would stick out above the rest. It was the year that he made the connection over the phone. The year his life turned around. That event took place 13 to 22 years before Undertale, as Frisk tumbled down in 2010X. We know Alphys took over as a royal scientist after Gaster, but it's uncertain when Gaster vanished. We know he did vanish due to his followers' dialogue, but it's really neat to see this connection in terms of having an actual year established. Because if
Interesting.
1997 is truly Spamton's favorite year, then that means Gaster probably vanished sometime after that. Before this chapter, we didn't have an actual window of time. But I think the most powerful thing about Gaster's Spamton connection is that it's being channeled to Chris. Spamton has been by far the most in-your-face lore baiter when it comes to what we don't know about Undertale and
Fridge
Deltarune.
you,
And Chris's
Sans.
reaction to Spamton fading away to nothingness has them shook. Mind you, Gaster fade away in a similar manner, and to my knowledge, the fade effect isn't used too often in the games. But this is one of the only times where we get direct commentary on fear and uncertainty for the character we play. Lots of other times it's hush-hushed, like the encounter with the mysterious doors to the south of town. Given that Chris has been having crazy experiences with their
Oh.
desire to separate their soul from their body, and how Chris opened the new fountain within their own house, Chris has to be aware of their lack of control. And furthermore, it might be possible that Chris has already met Gaster prior to the start of the game. Maybe that makes
Whoa.
Chris worse off than anyone else. Not only is their
Oh.
mind awakened to the truth about the world, but unlike Spamton and Jevil, Chris only has true consciousness a fraction of the time. He's rarely in control.
Oh,
But the
that's just
murderous,
sad.
knife-bearing Chris and the Chris who is scared in the basement might not be the same person mentally. It's hard to tell. Only Noelle also knows what it's like to be abusively controlled to do things they do not want to do. But she thinks it is Chris doing it. Spamton, as a character and identity, is really all because of the connection that was made with a mysterious phone person. Thinking about it, it makes me wonder if Spamton's real name is just Mike. Much like how Metaton wasn't always
No.
Metaton. Why would someone give themselves such a negative label right out the gate? Given that Spamton's sales were horrible and that he had dreams he wanted to pursue, it sounds more like he turned to spam and became Spamton once he realized how effective
That
it was.
hurt my
He even
eyes.
tried mimicking the look of the swatches to be more appealing. Spam, a degrading but swift shortcut to the top. It's the monster that he became. And for those brief moments when he talks in letters that
That
aren't all
attack is
capitals,
still
it makes me
evil.
wonder if it is Mike shining through. But
Oh.
given that Mike is brought up when Friends is selected, maybe that isn't the case, which we'll touch on in a second. Spamton, I can't help but think that his responses are redacted too, similar to the Gasser hints that we are familiar with. Anytime he tries to talk about something directly, it's just a blocked hyperlink. And if Gasser was truly spread across time and space, and became this entity that understands the infinite loops of a game's cycle and what the future holds, this insider information would make perfect sense as to why Spamton became an instant all-star.
Ooh,
He knew
doodly
what would be
doodly dudes.
effective by what had
I've
already
never
worked in the
encountered
future.
Gaster
But on the flip
myself or
side,
even
that
the
would mean that
hallway.
Gaster had already seemingly disappeared once before, and that the disappearance we're aware of could be a second time. Although, that might not entirely make sense. This is all theory crafting, of course, and just to get the gears going in your head. But one last thing I want to add, since we're on the topic of phones, and a crazy man who has phones for hands, is, well, that. Beware of the man who speaks in hands. We know that phrase too well, and up until this point, I always thought it only meant wingdings, sign language, or something similar. But it wasn't until I saw Spamton having literal phones for hands that it got me thinking. I don't think phone hand Spamton is Gasser, but the fact that Spamton was corrupted by someone speaking to him through his hand while
I hear
holding
the
the
world
phone
revolving.
is only another nod to Gasser.
Also, side
and
note,
now we might know how he does it.
just imagine Toby pre-planning Deltarune for so long that he just thinks, all right, I'm going to give the river person dialogue for a game that's going to have to wait like 6 years.
Could it be a chance phone call that changes someone's entire existence? I don't know. That is, assuming it was Gaster who broke Spamton. There is another side
Sans,
to the coin,
please
though.
go away.
And we played out the scenario where
Thank you.
Spamton was unlikely Mike. But we still have one terrifying connection to add to all of this.
Boo.
As more things were discovered as I was making this video. Mike was Spamton's friend, and possibly the overarching villain in Chapter 3. Mike is known to be associated with
Possibly.
television, as Spamton immediately says that the man on the TV is a criminal and we shouldn't believe him, which is an odd remark. Until Chris opens the dark fountain in their
So
home,
what, is
and we
Mike
see a
the
smile
person on the
creep across the
TV?
static of the TV. Now this alone is powerful, but it's not the end of the link, because 1997, Mike and Big Shot have something in common. Something quite peculiar.
Boo.
Commercials that aired in 1997 for Big Shot Soda.
You need a big shot? I got your big shot right here.
Mike Ditka, a football player turned pitchman, was commonly found on air selling various products. He even opens up with the commercial calling himself a big shot.
Dang it, now I'm hungry.
I'm the big shot, but around here it's a different story.
Mike,
When the boss sends me to make groceries, I bring home the big shot.
So is Spamton just obsessed with being what he thought was an amazing marketer? A celebrity who could push product through commercials, even if the product itself wasn't great?
Imagine
Most
if
of
the
us are
Big
familiar
Shot
with
soda
pitchmen
was an
like Billy
item.
Mays, Vince
Or
Offer,
Big
or
Shot
Anthony
drink,
Sullivan,
I guess.
who sold us all sorts of wacky products on TV. So this begs the question. Is Mike an actual character or just a TV commercial star? Spamton considered him a friend at some point, but it's unsure if Spamton's corruption ruined that friendship or if Mike ruined Spamton. Perhaps Gaster just got to them both.
Boo.
There's a lot hinting at Mike being the villain in
Go
Chapter
away,
3 and
Sans.
the world taking place within television programming. But it's also possible
Cake.
that the smile on the television isn't Mike. Maybe the wrong number call we got in Undertale was Mike reaching out to Spamton. The G initial lines up. Those in the marketing world would have holding or disconnect music after all. But now that I shared the story of Spamton's downfall,
Just a
how does
theory.
Gaster fit in? What's next? Let me know what you think in the comments below.
Alright, well, that was nice despite the 2 random ads interrupting without warning. Seriously, that was stupid. Like, now I'm gonna have to skim through each video regardless. Well, maybe. Thoughts on that? That was alright, I guess. I really should cut out a few things within the video, but I'm not going to. Also, here is my other theory. Noelle is actually the spy from Team Fortress 2 using the Spicicle. And as opposed to actually casting a spell, she is moving around at the speed of sound to backstab someone whilst making it look like she's casting a spell beforehand. My reasoning to back this up is because Susie was able to do this to block the sound waves from reaching Lancer's ears, and I have even more proof. This totally not self-made, non-photoshopped image should tell you enough. It is absolute proof. Anyways, this other one is what happens if you beat Spamton NEO with a full inventory. Just buy a ton of glow wrists, because why not? Not enough cash? What about room? Apparently not. Yeah. But you... What the 50% off? It just leaves. Okay, that is pure gold. It's just like, hey, you're stupid. You filled your inventory so I could get in. You're mean. I'm going now. I don't like you. Thank you for that. Well, I've got nothing else to say, really. But once again, theories, jokes, etc. I'm up to reacting to them. Although I'm seeing a lot of like jokes and what if you do this videos already, so I guess it'll mostly be theories, but I'm open to suggestions because I've got nothing. So thanks for watching. See you in the next video. That Noelle is a spy.